Tindy C. This is Radio Fox.
Hello, I'm Tindy C, and on this glorious day, Sunday the 29th of July, I welcome you to the Tindy C show on your number one radio station in hospital, Radio Fox. And thank you very much to Liz for the last couple of hours. And in the first part of my show, I bring you Talk, where I chat to my guest, specialist dementia nurse, Billi Hamnett, and a member of the security team at the Leicester Royal Infirmary, Bally Virdee. And they'll be telling us more about dementia and a special charity event. And later on in the show, I bring you interviews of one of the torchbearers for the 2012 Olympics and the famous Canadian singer-songwriter Raghav. Watch out for Desi Fever from 5 p.m, which is everything Bhangra, Bollywood and urban. But now let's kick off with a bit of U2. Right then, and here was me thinking that the security team just like to flex their muscles and strut their stuff. But they're obviously a lot more than that, because I'm joined now by a member of the security team, Bally Virdee, along with specialist dementia nurse Billi Hamnett. The security team and members of staff from the NHS Trust A&E Department at the Leicester Royal Infirmary are doing a charity event to raise money for a much-needed facility within the A&E Department. Hello guys, thank you for joining me. A lot of us do hear the word dementia and think of it as something that happens to old people, but we don't really know too much about it. So would you be able to explain to us what it is a little bit more?
Yeah, dementia is anything really that affects the brain so it can't function as we call normally. Actually, Latin for dementia is madness, because there was so little understanding of it before. And luckily nowadays we get to understand it more. It's not normal in old age, it's just more common because the brain actually deteriorates with age. As you get older, you slow up, cells die. So it is more common in old age, but it isn't normal.
Okay, so what are the typical symptoms?
Well, with old age you get short-term memory loss. That can be quite normal. But it's personality change, forgetting. I mean, it's okay forgetting where you park your car, but actually remembering what make or colour it is. That's the difference.
Okay.
And it's progressive. It doesn't get better.
Okay, so, I mean, tell me a little bit more about the symptoms. Well, firstly, let's ask you a bit more about yourself, because I haven't even done that yet. So, Billi Hamnett, tell me exactly what do you do here at the Leicester Royal Infirmary?
Okay, I've been at the Leicester Royal Infirmary about 15 years.
Right.
At the moment, I'm a sister in the emergency department.
Okay.
I've got a special interest in Alzheimer's, dementia. My mother's got Alzheimer's.
Okay.
So I've got personal insight to it, shall we say. We get about 27,000 people through the emergency department a year that's over 65 years of age.
Okay.
About 17,000 of those actually end up being admitted. So there's a need for an understanding more about what happens to the brain when you get older. But saying that, with dementia, it can be affected by alcohol, drugs, brain injury. So any age can get it.
All right, so somebody relatively young could get dementia as well, then?
I mean, in Leicestershire, we're lucky to have 3 actual residential homes for people with dementia between the age of 21 and 35.
Right.
So it's not necessarily, it's just more common in old age, but any age can get it, yes.
Okay, wow. So tell me a little bit more about the symptoms, because I've got something here about sort of mood changes and communication problems. Would you be able to elaborate a little bit more on that for me?
The communication can be a bit later on in stage. There's different kinds, like I say, dementia is an umbrella term for a lot of different things that can affect the brain. I mean, toxins, injury, alcohol, they can all affect it.
Okay.
Usually with these symptoms, you get more forgetful. You get the communication, forget what you're saying. You can forget halfway through a sentence what you started talking about.
Right.
You forget how to pronounce words, forget what things are called. But mainly, the main obvious one is the memory. Not remembering, first of all, it starts short term, but as it progresses, it gets further and further back. So people with progressive dementia probably don't remember anything from, I don't know, before they were married. You know, when they were working, and they actually live in that age then.
So you're saying like memory loss, but it can be quite severe memory loss, not just sort of like, because something I think people often say to other, oh yes, I get memory loss all the time, oh I get that.
Well, that's pretty normal.
Yeah, but so what's the difference between someone saying, oh I get that all the time, oh yes,
like I say, the difference is when it's every day, you know, forgetting where you put the car keys, to actually being in the shop and living in a village for 30 or 40 years and forgetting where you live.
Really?
That's the difference. The difference is we can all forget where we put things.
Right.
But it's progressive with dementia. Your memory starts getting worse, and it actually goes back further and further towards your childhood.
Right.
And if you speak to people with dementia that have had it for a few years, they probably believe that they're only 18. They do not believe that they're in their 80s.
Wow.
So it's all that age that is gone, and it will never come back. So, but this is why people act differently. They'll act, probably do think inappropriately, but to them, they're acting as though they would do when they were a teenager. So you have to understand where they're coming from to...
Okay, so like mood changes could be sort of connected to that.
Mood changes, they can be more agitated. It all depends what area of the brain.
Right.
But yeah, their moods, they get mood swings, they can get very angry about things, very frustrated. And like I say, everybody's an individual. It affects everybody differently. But if you have an understanding of why people are behaving, what's happening to them to make them behave like that, then that's when we can look after them better.
Okay, and so who does it affect typically? Is it males, females, across the board?
It tends to be more females.
Okay.
Gentlemen get it as well. It does tend to be more females, and like I say, it tends to be older.
Right.
But alcohol, drugs...
Okay. Can it also be a genetic thing as well?
It can be more common.
Right.
Yes, it can be more common. It's not saying that, if you've got a grandparent or parent that's got dementia that you're going to end up with it, because, obviously healthy style, food, exercise, that helps prevent it, but won't stop it.
Okay.
But it tends to be in your genes whether you're going to get it or not.
Okay, we'll talk about that in just a little while. What we'll take a quick break now and we'll come back to Bally. It's a bit of Black Eyed Peas for you there, and I am joined by Bally Virdee and Billi Hamnett from the Leicester Royal Infirmary, and now I will chat a bit more to Bally Virdee. So tell me, Bally, what do you do exactly here at the Leicester Royal Infirmary?
I'm one of the security team leaders.
Right.
And we cover the whole hospital. It's not just the A&E department, so we deal with the wards and any other departments around the hospital.
Okay. Right, so because I understand members of security deal with challenging situations every day, which can be very, very, very stressful, and your actual Virgin Money Giving page on the net states, none is more distressing than when security have to help calm down a patient who is suffering from dementia. Patients suffering from this illness are often extremely confused and distressed. Now, can you elaborate on this for me a little bit, please?
Yeah, it's like we get a lot of patients that come in with dementia, Alzheimer's, who are very confused. Obviously, we've been through certain specialist training now with the nursing staff, where we've learnt how to understand these patients, their mood changes, their challenging behaviour at times, where they can be very forgetful. Like, for example, what Billy was saying, they could be in their 60s, 70s, and they think they're back in their 20s.
Right.
And it's just... knowing how to interact with the people, how to talk to them, trying to understand their illness a bit more so you can deal with it, rather than we didn't know all that before, so it's been a big help receiving the training and everything.
Okay, so could you tell me about any situations in particular you've had, any stand out, or...?
Yeah, we have a lot of patients who suffer from dementia who they don't know where they are, to be honest. Some of them think they're still at home. Like some of them think they're still back in their 20s. We've also had a lot of patients who, one that we get quite regular, think they're still in the forces, because it used to be back in the day.
Wow, okay.
And
so they can actually be in the hospital and actually forget sort of that they're actually here and what they're here for and so forth.
Yeah.
And this, I'm assuming this could probably be quite distressing, sort of obviously for them and for other patients in the vicinity as well.
Yeah. I think one of the reasons for the specialist room is with the A&E department being so busy, the environment and the rush of people doesn't help in trying to deal with these confused patients. So we're trying to separate them with a bit of quiet time in this specialist room.
You know, when I actually heard about what you were doing, I thought, wow, that is amazing. It's really good that sort of you're not thinking, oh God, it's a problem. You're thinking, well, what can we do to make it easier for them and for everyone else as well?
Well, the ageing population in Leicester is in the world actually is increasing by 2/3, when the rest of the population is only increasing by 10%. So we're going to get a lot more older people, and we've just got to look at our practice and what we're doing and meet the needs.
Yeah, that's fantastic. So these situations and so forth, I mean, how did it come about that you thought, right, we need this?
On a daily basis, we can deal with these kind of situations 2, 3, 4 times per shift, and ongoing, sometimes even more.
It's on average between 8 and 11 patients with confusion, dementia or delirium through the emergency department every day.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a lot more than what people think.
And are they... I'm assuming that majority are probably a little bit older, but are there younger people in this?
I've had personal experiences with some people in the 30s and 40s.
Oh, right, okay.
But generally, they tend to be a bit older.
And, okay, obviously, for this reason, the security department have decided to help raise money for the specialist room for dementia patients. Now, how exactly will this room be different or specialised? I mean, what equipment exactly will be in it? I mean, I know you said it will provide... a bit of peace and quiet.
Well, what we've done in the major part of the emergency department, there's a room that's non-clinical. We've done a lot of research on colours and pictures, and we've made it a real calming room. So when the door's shut, the noise is reduced. People can wander around in a safe environment and be less scary. And what we've done is duplicated this on our little wards. So if we do have to move the patient down, they're in the same environment again, and it reduces confusion.
That sounds amazing. What kind of colours help then? Well, I'd be interested to know this.
Yeah, calming colours tend to be pale blue, pale green, kind of a burnt orange colour, and a lilac colour. So
Right.
we've gone for the lilac.
Okay. I like purple anyway, so yeah.
Simple things like having a black line across the door. People with dementia and confusion or Parkinson's don't like to cross the black line. So it tends to stop people wandering out of a room without having to restrain.
Oh, wow.
It's a lot of researching and finding out about drinks. A lot of old people get dehydrated because they don't actually recognise water as a drink anymore. But by putting fruit juice in there, it encourages them to drink more. So it's just having this knowledge and educating staff and people about that.
Right.
I think when the patients are in a surrounding where they feel comfortable, it makes a security's job a lot easier because 9 times out of 10 they don't recognise where they are, so they want to leave. And obviously, being in hospital, having a duty of care, we can't let these patients just wander out. So, having that calming surrounding, it stops us having to restrain patients if need be.
Have you had to do that in the past then?
Yeah, we have sometimes when we get extremely challenging patients who just want to leave because they don't know where they are.
They just want to get back to somewhere they recognise or somewhere they feel safe.
Well, I suppose people don't always appreciate that. Obviously, security must think probably don't like doing that anyway, but obviously it's your job. But then this is kind of like a happy medium. We're trying to find somewhere in between. Yeah,
it is one of the hardest things for security. Obviously, security officers at the hospital having to deal with these kind of patients because it's not a nice thing to do. Having to restrain a patient who's suffering from certain illnesses.
Okay.
That's why we're trying to counteract this with the new ideas, the specialist room, which will hopefully be a lot better.
And this is just a random question here, but I'm wondering, do patients who have dementia, do they carry a card round to say that they have dementia?
No, you don't really like to label people as well. But the thing with dementia, they don't remember they've got dementia. They don't know.
Yeah.
They wouldn't remember a card.
Okay.
So if they read a card saying they've got dementia, they probably wouldn't believe it anyway. Yeah. It's very rare that a patient has any insight to their dementia. Very rare.
Okay. What we'll do is we'll just take this quick break and we'll come back and ask you a little bit more about what you're going to be doing in the charity event.
I can be your hero.
And I was talking to Bally Virdee and Billi Hamnett, and they're talking to us about dementia. So, could you please give us details now of what exactly you will be doing to raise this money?
Right, the main thing we're going to be doing is a sponsored charity walk.
Okay.
Across the whole length, 84 miles of Hadrians Wall.
Wow, that I'm impressed, because when you first started off, I was thinking, oh, another sponsored charity walk, but Hadrians Wall, that's impressive.
Yep. We're doing it in 4 days,
right,
towards the end of August.
Could you please tell our listeners that are not 100% sure where exactly Hadrian's Wall is?
Right, Hadrian's Wall is in northern England.
Right.
Basically, it runs just below the English and Scottish border. It was built by the Romans back in the day to keep the Scottish out, but it's just a wall now, which is a historic view.
84 miles?
Yes, that's right.
Wow, that's going to be mad in 4 days.
Yes.
Oh, well, I wish you all the luck with that. So, when will the walk actually take place?
We're going to be starting it on the Thursday the 23rd of August and finishing it on Sunday the 26th.
Oh, fantastic. How many of you in the team are there?
There's 4 security officers, a staff nurse from the A&E Department,
Right.
and a police officer from Leicestershire Constabulary.
Okay, so there's a good group of you. And
Yeah.
where will you be staying during this time?
Right, we've all decided to camp while we're there.
Oh, that's brave.
So there's campsites dotted all over the wall
Yeah.
and everything, so we'll be camping the 4 nights we're down there.
Okay. Have you ever been camping before then?
I have personally.
Okay. Because
I-
I've never been, so I don't know how I'd be able to handle that. How about yourself, Billy? Have you been?
Oh yeah, I've been camping. It's good.
Okay. So tell me a little bit more about this charity event that's taking place on Tuesday, I believe. Is that right?
Yeah, Tuesday in the Royal Restaurant
Right.
at the hospital, we have a charity fundraising event going on for the walk we're doing, also incorporated into our Security Awareness Day.
Okay.
There'll be many things going on. It's from 10 a.m. till 2 p.m.
Right.
and we'll have stuff like a tombola, raffle prizes, cupcake sale.
Oh, that sounds good.
That's what I'm going for.
I think I might join you there.
There'll also be certain stuff like mugs and bags, which
Right.
you can get personal logos put on if you want.
All right. Okay.
Yeah, and also
And this is especially for sort of patients that are in the Leicester Royal Infirmary. They can come down.
yeah, anyone at the Leicester Royal Infirmary can come down.
Right, okay, and it's open to everyone, actually, isn't it?
Yes,
so,
yes, it
yeah.
is.
Oh, that's fantastic.
It's
Really
going to be brilliant because the security do such an amazing job in the hospital. I think awareness for people would be
Right.
good. I don't think people realise how much work they do.
Oh, bless.
Yeah.
That we take it for granted, don't we? We don't actually appreciate. Obviously, this has to go on as well, so for an order of everyone else to carry out what they're doing. So,
Yeah, as a nurse in the
Yeah.
emergency department, I rely on them a lot. And I know
Aw.
if I shout, then somebody comes.
yeah.
Which is very comforting when you're working in an emergency department.
Yeah. I suppose there are certain nights it can be maybe a little bit more.
They will even, escort us to our cars if we feel unsafe. That's how
Oh, bless. That's lovely.
good. Yeah.
All right. Okay. Well, I'll chat to you in just a moment. We'll play some Robbie Williams now. Hello, and I am chatting to Bally Virdee and Billi Hamnett, and they're talking about dementia and a special charity event they've got coming up soon. And how much are you actually hoping to raise? I know it's as much as possible, but what do you need for what you need to get?
Well,
how much do you need?
total we're trying to raise is £3,500.
Right.
That will cover all the equipment we're going to need in the specialist room.
Okay, now you mentioned equipment before. What equipment exactly would that entail?
Well, at the moment, of course, we've got an electric bed, we've got 2 chairs, we've got a bed cabinet, but I've borrowed these from other wards.
Right.
So the idea is
So
to buy
they need
our
them
own.
back.
Yeah. We want our own equipment in there so it can stay in the room and be there for anybody that needs it.
Right.
We've also got a radio in there that they
Okay.
find it very soothing. There's other things like light mobiles for patients that are bedbound, so
Right.
they have a light show on the ceiling.
Oh.
And another thing, fiddle boxes. That's a box with stuff that they like to fold. It's very tactile. People
Yeah.
with dementia like to feel different cloths.
Right.
So to have
Okay.
things in the box for them to touch. It's just a safe wandering area. And whatever it takes, really.
Right, so it'd be a very soothing,
Very
comforting
soothing.
environment for them then,
Yeah.
basically. Okay, that's fantastic.
We've got a flip chart of old pictures of Leicester and things like that.
Right.
It's anything that they recognise and makes them feel safe.
Oh, right, okay. So, if listeners would like to make a contribution towards this much-needed equipment, how can they sponsor you or make a donation? And for those, I must say, that don't have access to the internet, because a lot of the patients at the Leicester Royal Infirmary don't have that access, what can they do to sponsor yourselves?
Right, there is a fundraising day
Right.
next Tuesday in the restaurant where they can come down and leave a donation. People will be collecting donations there between
Okay.
10 and 2 next Tuesday. But even outside that day, they can come and see any of the security department.
Okay.
There's a security office in the Windsor building and also in the A&E department where they can
Okay.
come leave donations. There's sponsor forms around the hospital.
There's actual volunteers on every ward. So if there's patients finding it difficult to get anywhere to make a donation, they can ask a volunteer to nip it
Yeah.
down for them.
Yeah, because I suppose they could just ask a member of the staff on whatever ward they're on and say to them, I'd like to do this, and they can make the necessary
And
arrangements,
if the
can't
staff
they?
are too busy, I'll fetch it myself.
Yeah, so yeah, and you can always leave a message here at Radio Fox, and we can pass that on to them if you can't get hold of anyone else. So that'd be really good. Yeah, that'd be fantastic. Is there anything that I've touched upon today that you think we need further elaboration on, or anything?
Just that obviously we're trying to raise this money for the equipment. It is really needed, so any donations would be grateful. And if people get a chance, please come to the fundraising event next Tuesday.
Okay, and I suppose anything from 20p to £20 would help, wouldn't it? Anything
makes a difference. I think the message that we'd like to get out is that dementia is a life-threatening, it's a progressive, and everybody's actually, a chance of getting it. We need more understanding about the illness, I think.
Yeah, sort of like, does it affect quite a lot of people? Because is it more common than we like to think it is?
Yes, it is a lot more common, because a lot of people at early stage of dementia do not want people to know that their memory's getting worse and worse. They feel silly. I mean, my mother has Alzheimer's. One stage she said to me, I'm not going out of the house because people think I'm stupid.
Oh, bless.
So it affects people a long time before they're diagnosed. So, and everybody's at a risk of getting it.
So, all right, okay.
I mean, lifestyle, like I say, health is better, but it can progress in anybody.
Okay. Another thing that I did read actually on the net was the evidence does suggest that a healthy diet and lifestyle may prevent against dementia, and exercising regularly, avoiding fatty foods, not smoking, drinking alcohol in moderation.
Yeah, definitely.
So, I mean, what would you say about that?
No, I'd definitely say so. I mean, but that's true of most illnesses and a healthy lifestyle. We all should try and have a healthy lifestyle, and a lot of illnesses and diseases will be reduced through that, dementia being one of them. Okay. But, my mother never drank. Right. She'd never smoke. And she had Alzheimer's, so I think it's in your genes sometimes, and don't blame yourself if you've not done anything wrong. Okay. It's just one of those illnesses.
Yeah, so you've just got to sort of try and do everything in moderation.
Yeah.
And that will help you from lots of diseases anyway, won't it?
Yeah, in general.
Okay, that's fantastic. And because the purpose of this interview is basically to inform everybody out there what dementia is and what this fabulous team in front of me are doing to raise awareness and money for this cause. Yeah. Well, we've still got you guys in the studio for about 15 more minutes. If anybody has any questions for Billy or Bally, please get in touch with us. And you can get in touch with us here at Radio Fox. And if I find the numbers, that'd be absolutely fantastic. Yes, you can get in touch with us on 258 5555. But if you're listening at the road, you can press the little grey button on your bedside handset to call us free of charge. And if you go to a nurse's desk and you ask them, if you ask them kindly, of course, they'll let you call us on 5555. Yeah, so get in touch with us if there's anything you'd like to know further. And I'm going to play some Robbie Williams now. And I am chatting to Bally Virdee and Billi Hamnett, and we were just talking a little bit about was it the difference between dementia and
delirium?
Okay, please tell me, because I'm interested in this. Please tell me a little bit more about that.
Delirium presents itself like dementia.
Okay.
It's usually caused by poisons, toxins, and most likely infection in the elderly. So you can get a patient presenting to the emergency department. It's very confused, short-term memory, very agitated. But it's caused through an infection. So the delirium is treatable, and eventually they will return to normal.
Okay.
But people with dementia, especially Alzheimer's, are more prone to get delirium if they get an infection. So we get confused patients escalating more confusion because they've got an infection.
Even more confusion. Wow.
Yeah, and that's when the agitation really kicks in.
I know we've been talking about sort of confused patients, this, that, but would you be able to give us a little bit more insight as to sort of how would it be for these patients and their families?
It's very distressing for the families because their whole personality of, for instance, we'll say the mother, if they've got dementia, over time they get more forgetful, and the time when they forget their children's names or don't recognise the grandchildren is devastating for the family. A lot of families back off because they can't cope with that, because and by education making them realise that they're doing why they're doing it helps families to cope with things like that. Their whole personality can change. Okay. We can have a very, very proper lady doing the can-can down the middle of a corridor. It's absolutely totally out of character. It just all depends what part of the brain it affects. You can have people that start swearing that have never sweared in their life. So
is that sort of like depending on sort of whether it's either frontal lobal or back or different things? There's
lots of different kind of dementia is an umbrella term,
right?
And like I say, it's Latin for madness, but it covers a lot of illnesses such as Alzheimer's, Pick's disease, coughs and coughs.
Right.
A lot of different ones. It's all under the umbrella term of dementia.
Right, okay.
Delirium is caused by infection in that presents like dementia, but it's treatable.
And I suppose
That's
you were saying with
difference.
delirium, it could probably happen to a lot more different people at various stages if they're in
Yeah.
hospital, for example.
Yeah, it's very common for people to get delirium after surgery or in ITU because it's the toxins, it's the chemicals that's in the
Right.
body that can make the confusion.
Right.
Alcohol can, taking drugs can.
Hmm.
So it does happen to lots of the younger people as well. I think just because it's more common in the elderly, again, because of general wear and tear of the brain already, that we get it. I mean, it tends to be urine infections and chest infections that give delirium to older people.
Okay. He did say earlier that dementia, it is basically a degenerative disease, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a life-limiting
Right, okay.
disease that it will not get better, it's progressive.
Okay, and is there a stage where somebody would probably need to be in a home as opposed to sort of being in their
For
family
safety.
environment?
For safety reasons, obviously once they're diagnosed properly through, and they are classed under the mental health, there are medications out there that help very well to slow it up. It will never make it better.
Okay.
Some can stop it, some can slow the disease up.
Right.
They work very well. But at
Okay.
end stage, the medication is not going to make any difference. So at the end stage, the medication will probably be stopped.
Okay. I've got something here that I need to say that you're probably going to agree with me anyway. I just want to say, if any of the issues that we've discussed during this hour have affected you, or you feel that you may have dementia or somebody you know has, it's proper to obtain a doctor's diagnosis, isn't it? To see the GP or a specialist rather than just say, right, I've got this or I've got that, you know.
And there's a lot of information out there,
yeah.
but you need to see the GP, you need to be referred to a specialist, and you need to be diagnosed.
Right. Okay, and therefore the proper treatment can start then, can't it?
Yeah, and involving your family in this. A lot of people hide it because they're worried about being stupid and wonder what's actually happening to them.
Right.
Involve your family because you need the support.
I think some people could probably think, oh, it's just old age, that's why I'm forgetting.
Yeah.
And they probably mistake that as something, but obviously it's a bit more than
I think
just
there's
old
key
age,
points
isn't it?
like forgetting how to get home from shops that you've always been to all your life.
Right.
You know, they should be kind of ringing alarms. But, you know, like I say, generally speaking, just forgetting where you put the car keys, that's normal life.
Okay.
That's nothing to worry about.
Okay, thank you very much, because I forget quite often, but thank you very much for saying that. Right, is there anything else that you guys would like to add today?
No, that's everything.
Okay, thank you so much for coming in. So thank you very much to our specialist dementia nurse, Billi Hamnett, and to Bally Virdee, a member of the security team here at the LRI. And they've been chatting to us about dementia and their charity event. So please support them. Give them as much help as you can, because you've got an event on Tuesday, haven't you, in the restaurant at the Leicester Royal Infirmary. Yeah. And you can also sponsor them too. And let's see them hopefully raise all this money and get a dementia room in the A&E department. Yeah.
Oh, perhaps I'll send it with 2 then.
Oh, fantastic. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Went from Mr. 305.
Tindy C. This is Radio Fox.